Hi everyone, I wanted to welcome you to the smoke detector class. I appreciate your time and appreciate you taking time out of your busy days to sit here and listen to smoke detectors, but I think this information will suit us all very well, and we'll learn a lot about smoke detectors and how they operate and what the chirping means, and maybe even how to install some smoke detectors and different kinds of smoke detectors. So I want to thank you for coming. My name is Keith Antista. I am with the Austin Fire Department. I've been with the Austin Fire Department for 18 years. I've worked at Engine 5 over in East Austin, where we did a lot of smoke detector installs. I worked downtown at Central Station. Not as many smoke detector installs down there, but every once in a while we'd go to some condos and things like that and help people with smoke detectors. A little bit out at 31s when I was in the Special Operations Battalion. I promoted to driver. My current assignment is driving ladder 17 in South Austin at Station 17. Like I said, I've been there for 18 years, so I got a little time putting some smoke detectors in. The City of Austin has a smoke detector drive where people can call in if they're having problems or need help with smoke detectors, or sometimes people just walk up to the fire station and ask us, can you help us with our smoke detector? And we go over to their house and see what they've got going. Maybe just need a battery, or maybe their smoke detector is expired, and we'll learn about expirations on smoke detectors here in a second. So I got a little PowerPoint, and I actually printed out some so you could have one to look at as we go through the class, and you can make notes if you'd like. Okay, smoke detectors. Working smoke alarms save lives. Okay. Today, by the end of this lesson, you'll be able to explain 3 behaviors necessary to ensure smoke alarms can serve as life-saving devices. Okay. You'll be able to check and replace the batteries on your smoke detectors, and we'll go over some basic installation procedures. Where we'll put them, how we'll mount them, how many you would need in your house, what areas of your house you'll be wanting to put your smoke detectors in. But first, let's start with, each year, too many people die in home fires that could have been detected by working smoke alarms. It isn't enough just to install them. We need to make sure that they're working. They must be maintained. So today we're going to spend a few minutes talking about how to make sure your smoke alarms can keep you safe and how we maintain them to make sure they're operational. So at night when you're asleep, that little nose in that smoke detector will beep and wake you up. Okay, because if it's smoking in your house, we're not going to wake up. It's not going to wake us up, right? We need something to alarm us to get up. Just a little information here. 2014 in Pennsylvania, smoke from a small fire killed a 93-year-old woman and an 84-year-old man who had a mobility disability. They were in their bedroom sleeping. The fire began on a worn-out electrical cord that arced and overheated, and it was underneath their bed, underneath their hospital bed. It was a single-family house, wood frame house, with asphalt shingled roof that was covered in 930 square feet. Okay, so a little bit smaller than our house, but the same style house. They had one smoke alarm in their house. Okay, it was in the kitchen pantry, but the battery was dead. So if the battery's dead, it does us no good. There were no sprinklers, which a lot of residents don't have sprinklers, but there were no sprinklers in the house. One of the occupants noticed the fire and called 911. Firefighters arrived and found it had burned itself out. Not before the man and woman were both exposed to high levels of carbon monoxide. If you breathe carbon monoxide, it will kill you. Okay, it displaces the oxygen in your lungs. Nationwide, annual estimates indicate that 75% of residential fire fatalities occur in homes without working smoke detectors. That percentage can greatly be reduced because smoke alarms are easy to install, maintain, and mean the difference between life and death. Okay? Does anybody hear anything going on up here in the background? Do you hear anything? You don't hear any chirping? You hear chirping? Okay.
Yeah.
I've got a smoke detector here that's chirping. And this smoke detector has a dead battery in it, and that's what it sounds like. While we're talking here, you'll hear it chirping, okay? If you hear that at home, it's time to replace the battery. Okay, I got a little thing that's going to help us remember. Here we go. A rule to live by. Once a month, once a year, once a decade. Oh, did you hear a chirp? What do we mean by once a month? Once a month. Everyone should test home smoke alarms at least once a month using the test button. Okay, so let's look at these. Let's look at these smoke detectors. So there's some of them are different. So everyone will have a button on it. So this one says test. So you can see it. So push it, and push it and hold it. That's how you test them. You push them and hold them. There you go. That's the test. The little chirp there, that's because the battery's dead in this one, and we'll change the battery in a second. Try this one. You try this one. This is a different smoke detector. So look where it says push to test. Yep. Let's see what happens. That one's no good. Doesn't work. Okay? So we got to remember that. So once a month, what are we going to do? Once a month. We're gonna test them, right? Mm-hmm. The first of the month. Oh, today's the first of the month. We're testing all our smoke detectors. Okay. We just talked about this, but let's review it again. What happens if our smoke detector's chirping? That chirp right there. Perfect timing of the chirp. What's that doing for us? Go ahead.
It tells it that the battery's dying?
That our battery's dead, right? The battery's dying and we need to replace it. If you have a smoke alarm with standard batteries, install a new battery when the alarm chirps. If your smoke alarm has a long life, non-replaceable batteries, you must replace the entire smoke alarm. That brings me to this. That's what this one is. This one has a battery, opens up, you can take the battery out. This one happens to take a 9 volt, some take double A's. When you look in, it has markings, plus and minus. Put it in plus and minus. Now we got a new battery, okay? This one doesn't have a battery door. This battery is a 10-year battery. It's not meant to be replaced. When this one dies, it just goes away. You got to replace it. Once a year. So once a year, change the battery of your smoke alarm, uses standard batteries. If you have long life, non-replaced batteries, you can skip this step. Okay, so 1 year comes around, okay? It's not chirping, it's not supposed to be chirping because we just put a fresh battery in it, okay? We're gonna change the battery anyways. January 1st or February, whatever day you decide, you change the batteries if they're chirping, okay? If it doesn't have replaceable batteries, you skip that step, okay? Now, once a decade. How long is a decade?
10 years.
10 years. Every 10 years. See what it says. Replace the smoke alarm. Smoke alarms have a shelf life. They're designed to be effective for up to 10 years. Replace all types of smoke alarms when they are 10 years old. When you install a new smoke alarm, write the date on the back to remind you when it will need a new one. Okay? So let's look at these. And I've got another one right here. This one's brand new. And this is the same style as this one. So on these have dates on them. 2000, September 14th. So this smoke detector is 20 years old. It was made in 2000. See if you can find the date on that one. Can you find a date on that one?
Right here.
Okay, now let's look at this one. So we're going to replace them every 10 years. That's how long they last, okay? On this one also, it's got a deal here. Date of install. 10-year battery. Replace alarm after. So you can put the date you would install it and when you were supposed to replace it. Okay? This is the same style. What's this one say?
2019, December 25th.
Christmas Day, 2019. So this smoke detector is good for 10 years, right? But it's got a shelf life of 10 years, but we're installing it a year after it was manufactured, so just keep that in mind. 10 years is kind of a rough estimate where it might be 9 once you put it in. On these ones that don't have batteries, this is the part, and I'll show you in a minute when we mount that to the wall, and these turn. And once it makes that noise, it's on. Now you can try to see if that one works. Let's hit the test button on that one and see if that one works. There you go. Good job. That's good, that happened. You know what that sound is? That's what it makes when it detects smoke in the middle of the night. That's what's going to happen. If that happens and you're testing it, push to silence. You put that and it'll stop. Each one's a little different. These buttons are a little different on each one. Okay, so let's review what we've learned so far about smoke detectors. What's the rule to live by?
Once a month, once a year, once a decade.
And what's once a month?
You need to change your battery.
You need to test the
We're testing our smoke detectors once a month. We're changing the batteries once a year, whether they need to be changed or not, unless it's what? A 10-year smoke detector. And every 10 years, we're replacing the smoke detectors because they have a shelf life of
10 years.
10 years. Okay. All right, good. So, there's different types of smoke detectors. And so this smoke detector runs on a battery, right? What we were talked about. This smoke detector has a battery, but this is a hardwired smoke detector. See, it's got these prongs here. In some houses, these smoke detectors, when you install them, there'll be a wire sticking out of the ceiling, and it plugs into this. This smoke detector is wired to all the smoke detectors and an alarm system, okay? The battery in this is for a battery backup. So if something happens where you lose power in the house, your smoke detector will still work, okay? It's hardwired, battery operated, okay? So let's look here. Let's talk about installation of smoke detectors. You can remember what we talked about? Okay. So installing smoke detectors into drywall or a wood stud. Okay, so right here, this is drywall. Okay, and behind this is wood studs. That's what the drywall is. So, if you're going to put a smoke detector in and you're going to go into a wood stud, no anchor needed. Okay, let's look at this real quick. Here's the package, and here's what it comes with. Let's open it up. We've got screws, and we've got drywall anchors. Okay, if you're going to go directly into wood, you can drill a little pilot hole that's a little bit smaller than this so the wood doesn't crack, and the screw can go directly into the wood and it will hold it. If there's no wood stud, no worries, because we have drywall anchors. So you would drill a small hole in the drywall, put the anchor into the drywall, and then the screw goes into the anchor, and that keeps it from ripping the drywall, so it'll hold the weight of the smoke detector, okay? To do that, we'll use drill bits, screwdrivers, a level, a measuring tape, and extra batteries. That's like what you would have with you if you're going to install smoke detectors, okay? Where do you want to put smoke detectors?
On the ceiling?
On the ceiling, yeah, or on a wall, okay? So you can do it either way. Outside of each bedroom, outside of sleeping areas, in all levels of the home. So if you have a 2-story home, you're going to put a smoke detector in each floor, okay? If you have a basement, you're going to put one in the basement, okay? You can mount them on the ceiling, which is a good place. But if you can't mount it on the ceiling for some reason, you can mount it on the wall. You use your tape measure to make sure that it's between 4 and 12 inches below the ceiling. So if we were going to put one here, we would put it here, between 4 to 12 inches below the ceiling. Not lower than that, not higher than that, okay? So we're looking at a wall, 4 to 12 inches from the ceiling. On the ceiling, you mount it straight to the ceiling. 10 feet from cooking utensil or cooking appliances. So we're not going to put a smoke detector directly above our stove or our oven or something like that, because then we're going to get some smoke. It's going to go inside. It's going to go inside in the smoke detector. It's going to set the smoke detector off because maybe mommy burned some toast or something. Who knows? Okay? So, okay? Let's look at some tools. And I had talked about them, but I brought some to show you. Some basic tools you would use just in case. So you know what I'm talking about here. We've got a drill. with a bit, and you want to find the bit that's just a little bit smaller than that. We've got a screwdriver, flattened Phillips, some extra bits, a Phillips driver for your drill, a level, so we can make sure it's level. So when you put these in, I'll show you. What you'll do is, you can look here on the wall, you mount this first. So you would mount this to the wall where you wanted the smoke detector to go. And then the smoke detector would go into, once this is mounted, and you got it level, I like to make the screws level. And then you stick this, you would stick it in and turn it. And it'll start again. We're starting. The other thing I like to do is to set the smoke detector level this way, take it off, look where the mounts are, make a mark, and then mount it there. So that when I stick it back on, it's level. So it's not crooked or upside down or something like that. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? What do you think? What were we talking about? Okay, let's go over this one more time. Okay, we're looking for once a month, which is
Test it.
test it.
Test it once a month.
What happens if you test it and your batteries are dead?
Replace the battery.
What is it? What sound does it make when your batteries are? What happens when your batteries are dead? What will it be doing?
Chirping.
It'll be chirping. Okay, that's once a month. Once a year.
Replace the batteries no matter what.
Replace the batteries no matter what. Even if it's not chirping. Because that way we know we've always got fresh batteries in our smoke detectors. Because smoke detectors save lives. Save lives. And once a decade.
Replace the smoke alarm.
Replace it.
Replace the
No
smoke.
matter what.
No matter what. What about this smoke detector that doesn't have batteries in it?
You get a new smoke detector?
You get a new smoke detector every 10 years. We don't worry about replacing the battery in that one. Okay, because they last for 10 years. Is there any questions about smoke detectors? Anything we've covered? Smoke detector installation, what we would use to install them, where we install them, how many you should have in your house. Anything we covered on our PowerPoint?
Any question?
Do you have a question?
Well, how many are you supposed to have in your house?
That's a good question. How many are you supposed to have in your house? Okay. I said here, let's go back and look at our board here. We want one in each bedroom, outside sleeping areas on all levels of the house. So for instance, in this house, we've got 4 bedrooms, so I know we have one in each bedroom. I got one outside the sleeping area, so there's one outside the master bedroom, and there's one outside the 2 middle bedrooms, and there's one outside the front bedroom in the hallway. So 4, 5, 6, we have 7 in this house. Okay, so that's kind of the rule of thumb, okay? Inside of a bedroom, right inside the door, so if this was the door jamb, it'd be here, and then outside of the hallway, maybe between a couple bedrooms, right? Then if something happens out here, the smoke will get that one first. On these hardwired smoke detectors, let me add this. If you go test your hardwired smoke detector and you push this, all the smoke detectors in the house go off. So if there's a fire in the very front bedroom, and we're all in the very back bedroom, our smoke detector will go off because it's wired through to all the other smoke detectors. If one goes off, they all go off. So be aware of that whenever you're checking them on your once a month. That's a great question. Any other questions? Well, I appreciate you. Can you open that for me, please? I appreciate you coming today. I hope you guys learned something. And you know how to get in contact with me. If you have any other questions, you feel like you need some help putting a smoke detector in, please get in contact with me. And I hope you'll have a great day. Thank you for your time.